10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello, my friends in Sasquatch land. Tuesday night, yet again. And once again, Discover Sasquatch is back in the studio with another great show for you all tonight. I'd like to say hello to everybody in the chat to start off the evening. Hello, Flat Rock. Hello, Mr. Kasner. How are you, Ben? Digger Dog is in the house. My eyes are green and hazel. Judy Wheeler. Hello, Miss Judy Wheeler. Blue-Eyed Northern, of course, is behind the scenes. She's one of our moderators. Good evening, Blue-Eyed Northern. Who else is with us? Strangeland is in with us. Thanks for the nice comments, Strangeland. We appreciate all the support. Oh, Sir Brian Bowden. We have royalty in the house tonight. Hello, our friend, Sir Brian. So hello to all. Miss Cindy Flynn. Hello, Sharon. Hello, everybody who's coming on. We have another great show for you tonight. You all know him, and he's a great friend of mine, Chris Connor from the Trail to Bigfoot. And we are going to be discussing, just like the title says, high frequency in the wood. Not electric Bigfoot. We have never ever claimed that Sasquatch has given us the readings that we're receiving in the woods. Never once. So we just wanted to put that out here first. We're almost at 3,000 subs. I got 18 more to go, and I appreciate all of you guys, each and every one of you. That's fantastic. The store is almost ready on the website. We're going to be loading up with merchandise. We are taking Discover Sasquatch to the next level here. I am actually in the midst of rebuilding the whole studio. We were going to have new content. We were going to be doing reviews on products and more videos from the field, and the podcast will continue. So I'm excited for the show tonight. I'm very excited to bring my friend on. Here he is from the Trail to Bigfoot, Mr. Chris Connor. Hello, my friend. How are you?
How you doing, Chris? How you doing?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing well. How's everything down in Florida?
Warm.
Warm.
Yeah, it's warm. It's nice down here, though. You can swim and all that stuff. Thunderstorms. Right, typical stuff.
So what most people, we took a little side project on, and what most people haven't realized that we are still going full steam after the radio frequency theme and hypothesis and all that we're experiencing in the woods, and that's what we're here tonight to discuss. You want to open up with a little statement for the people?
Well, this is a very difficult subject to address and to even put it into kind of a human terms, to be quite frankly with you. If you go back, and I don't know how many people here have seen the video, the Skinwalker Swamp video series or not, but it basically outlines what Chris and I and my sister was out there on one of the days, what we encountered as far as, what I've always coined. I know the words high strangeness has been out there for quite some time, but, the high strangeness that we would get, meaning high strangeness, meaning phones constantly misbehaving, voices that you will hear, being touched, and hearing knocks, but on your recorders you don't hear knocks. Other people hear different things than what is actually being recorded, seeing things, moving around. And so this is all part of the high strangeness and finding. Also, we discovered that we were seeing the correlations of what most people traditionally accept as Bigfoot activity is the knocks. Now, this is most people. I have a difference of opinion on that. Most people accept the knock sounds as Bigfoot activity, obviously finding footprints as evidence of activity, and objects being tossed, hurled, thrown at you, whether they be rocks, acorns, sticks. I have personally had most all those things occur to me out there in the Green Swamp. And you came along with us for the first time out there, and you saw it firsthand. What I was saying to folks, and and so we're going to hit that briefly, and I hope I don't get too deep in it. So we're going to have a little bit of learning tools for you to understand some of the terms that we're going to use, and a little bit of some teaching videos to go along with it.
Yeah, and if we don't get to everything tonight, everybody, Chris will be back for a part 2, because I'm learning stuff daily from Chris. I'm learning stuff and daily reading books. It's a fascinating world, the world of communications and all that. I never thought in a million years that I would be studying communications while searching for Sasquatch. Yeah. But like Chris said, those things were experienced when I was down in Florida, and then 2 weeks later I came home and I had the same thing happen here at the top of a mountain in Connecticut. The same rock throws, the same phone manipulation, and the same readings on the meter. That was I experienced it in Florida and in Connecticut. So it's just, that's what did it to me. I was flesh and blood up until that point, but once after Florida, there's something else that's going on. And again, can't say it's Sasquatch, but there's something else going on that's related to all this. So we're going to pursue it.
Right. And before we get started, we just want to basically say, I feel that I'm just pretty much led to however the evidence leads me. I'm not scared to go in any kind of, I'm not scared to go into the fathom, what most people, call woo. I don't call it woo, and I never called it woo. I just merely say, you probably do not understand what's really going on. And without specific types of equipment going along with you on your outings, you're going to continuously call things woo. I don't like the word. So I just want to point out, for people that want to ask me questions along the way, please put those in caps like Chris was saying. I'm going to be looking at the comments as we go, and I'm going to try to hit some comments so I don't ignore people in the audience, because I can have a tendency to get going with it. But before I start, very briefly, I used to have a career in communications when I was in the U.S. Army. I have done everything from radio teletype, that's basically high frequency, long range communications via hundreds of miles to 1,000, 1,500 miles with long distance. I've done single channel, I've done TACSAT, I've done all kinds of communications for the U.S. Army. It evolved into computer communications as well. So I'm very versed with a practical application of what happens around electromagnetic frequencies. Okay, I have experience with this, so just want to put that out real fast.
It's a good thing to touch base on. So what do you want to start off with the 101 video for everybody, and then we'll get this show rolling? Yeah,
I think what we need to do is we need to lay down some 101 stuff. Okay, very simple stuff that you need to watch some of the videos. Some of you might know. We're going to hit it, but it's going to briefly explain 101 level what electromagnetism is. All right, so let's hit it.
Electromagnetism, or the electromagnetic force, is one of the 4 fundamental forces of nature. It generates light and energy and holds atoms, matter, and the world as we know it together. Electromagnetism is a branch of physics that studies the interactions between electric and magnetic fields. All matter has an electric charge, which can be positive, negative, or zero. Opposite charges attract, while like charges repel. These electric forces bring and hold atoms together. And when atoms gain a positive or negative charge through the transfer of electrons, a measurable electric field will form. If those electrically charged particles start to move, the field will become a flowing electric current and form a magnetic field around it. Under the right circumstances, interacting electric and magnetic fields can continuously produce and sustain one another. This generates an electromagnetic field that transmits waves of electromagnetic energy or radiation into space. The intensity of this radiation is determined by its frequency. These frequencies make up what's known as the electromagnetic spectrum. Near the middle of the spectrum is visible light, such as light emitted by stars, fireflies, and computer screens. On either side are invisible electromagnetic waves. On one end are long, low-frequency radio waves that broadcast television and radio signals, microwaves that carry telephone signals and cook food, and infrared waves emitted by fires. On the other are short, high-frequency wavelengths, ultraviolet, X, and gamma radiation. Unlike low-frequency waves, these waves can pass through the human body, making them useful for medical applications. While electromagnetism has daily applications, it's also the engine that drives the planet as a whole. Thousands of miles below the Earth's surface, a layer of liquid metals churn and flow. This generates electric currents that then produce magnetic fields that all together encompass the entire planet. Called a geodynamo, this process causes Earth's poles to attain positive and negative charges, turning the planet into a giant electromagnet. This phenomenon also creates a protective layer around the planet. It shields us from the most harmful radiation in space, leaving us to enjoy a world held together by the strange and fundamental force of electromagnetism.
Okay, that was a very, like I said, 101 video with the basics of electromagnetism, how it functions. What I want to point out is they stressed that it was part. It's a fundamental of the universe also, but it is part and encompasses everything. It holds and binds and makes things stick together. All right. So EMF is always around us. EMF is on your Bigfooting expeditions, on your Bigfooting trips. We are all exposed to EMF, whether it is man-made or whether it naturally occurs. And as you saw in the video, even the Earth produces it. All right. So it's found all around us in the cosmos. It is not going around. It's not going to go away anywhere. It is always around us. Okay. So that's basically is there any questions so far before we proceed on about the basics of EMF? There's another video coming shortly.
I think we're pretty good. So,
okay. So in the video, they basically were saying that, how it all binds everything together. All right. Has everybody seen the Skinwalker Ranch series? What's going on out there in Utah. And I know you can't tell me and stuff like this. I know I'm reading the comments. Mm-hmm. And what was going on in Skinwalker Ranch is utterly, completely, and crazy bizarre. And I know there is other places also out there that it's not just Skinwalker Ranch. I feel we've encountered some things that are very similar in our own green swamp, what has been reported in Skinwalker Ranch. Also, there's a place called the Meadow. All right. So maybe you guys should understand and look at this place called the Meadow. All right. It's in Alabama, by the way. Crazy stuff going on there. So we have to really not hide underneath rocks when we do our research and our work. We can't hide underneath rocks no more, and we can't necessarily always put our subject in a box. We have to expand our minds. Get Bigfoot out of the box, okay? And everything to do with the subject of Bigfoot, take it out of the box. Open your mind and broaden your mind. There could be other things going on, and we don't necessarily know. You can't discard and you can't throw it away. Well, what you do, I don't care, but I'm just merely saying you should incorporate that as part of your data collection process and understand what you're dealing with, because we all know about the 1.6 gigahertz frequency that they're constantly saying that's going on in Skinwalker Ranch that's present with the phenomena. Okay. A lot of this high strangeness stuff that we have, I look at the coin phrase also, the phenomena, because that's kind of sort of what it is. It's kind of a hodgepodge of just high strangeness things that go on. Well, anyway, out in Skinwalker, they're talking about this 1.6 gigahertz frequency. And this is electromagnetism. But these guys would not even know at all that it was that there was a EMF frequency present unless they brought the instruments along to discern what else was going on during the phenomena. So what Chris and I did was we basically brought the tri-field meter along with us, and this is a picture of it. We brought the tri-field meter along with us. I am being blasted right now by my router that is sitting right here. All right. So as I turn this on, you're able to see my readings of my router. Okay. And it is in fluctuate because routers transmitting with data packets. This will constantly be in flux. All right. But I'm sitting just merely 3 feet away from my router, but you're not seeing it go up to 15 and 19, 9. You're not seeing it go to those kind of levels that we encountered in the swamp. Now, if you add a phone to it, if you add a phone and put the phone right up next to it, I can't see what it's really reading. You guys can. You turn it to where you can. All right. So I have everything turned on my phone. I have the telephone that, the cell is on as well as the Wi-Fi is on. So you're watching EMF present going on right now that I'm exposed to. But what I'm telling you is that my phone doesn't go bizarre and doesn't go nuts when I'm about my daily life and I'm constantly exposed to EMF frequencies. It doesn't go off screen lock by itself. It doesn't do a lot of this weird stuff that was happening to us when Chris and I was in the swamp out there. So we brought that measuring device along, and it's on radio frequency. Let me shut it off. So we brought that device along, and we were getting crazy readings. And I want to say it was the first time that we brought it along out there. The craziness that we encountered was the tri-field meter was attached to my body. The phone was in my pocket, and we would hear knocks. But just shortly before the knock, the meter would spike. The meter would spike. And then we'd hear a knock to the point that you could hear it with your ears. It was almost to the point that we would look at each other and say, hey, something's going on right now again. Also, my phone playing YouTube videos on its own, going to applications on its own. So it's all in the video, like we said earlier. But in these high strangeness areas, to include the meadow, all right, to include also on Skinwalker Ranch and other places, they're in New York as well. We need to really ask ourselves a very honest question and not be scared of it. What is going on? All right. Why in your Bigfooting areas do strange things happen time and time and time again? Bigfoots have been also seen at Skinwalker Ranch as well. So without the right tools bringing along on your journey, when you're hunting and going into your areas, you're going to forever call it woo, or you're going to just forever call it paranormal. And you're not going to try to take any steps or any scientific steps to go along the way of trying to discern what is going on.
And why, Chris, why do you think that is? Why do you think most people, they'll get that strange thing out on Bigfoot while they're out looking for Sasquatch, and they'll just pass it as, just something that's just weird that happened. The woo, that's just something mystical or something, when it could all be explained. Why do you think that mentality's out there?
Well, I don't know. I actually think it's just part of the two camps that's in the Bigfooting community, and people are just scared. People are just scared to be bashed, usually. And so they normally put themselves in one of two camps, and sometimes people find themselves in the middle, right? And the camp I'm talking about is The Bigfoot is entirely paranormal, dimensional, and things like this. And also, you on the other side, that you have the camp that is completely flesh and blood. It is a relic hominid, and there's nothing more, nothing fancy to it. It just hides and eludes us. So you have those camps, but yet time and time again, researchers keep going out there and experience the phenomena, the orbs, all right, the lights, the phones going crazy, the cameras dying, the trail cam cards reading failures, the trail cams dying, trail cams catching strange glimpses of lights and stuff like that. So all these things are part of it. But if you find one physical piece of evidence that you can relate to as it being Sasquatch activity, the footprint, and you're 100% certain that that is in fact a footprint, and it is in this area of high strangeness, then you must also consider, why is that footprint there? Why did they visit that area? Why did they pass through that area? What did they find significant about that area? Is there moving water going on? Is there large pockets of water going on? Is there pockets of crystals and stuff in the Earth's composition underneath it? Metal, magnet deposits? I don't know. You have to ask yourself these questions. But without more instruments going along with you, other than a camera in your hand and an audio recorder, people, that is old school. Okay? Bringing the camera and your audio recorder is old school. That's fine, but you're going to keep going around in circles. You're not going to find any answers for yourself. You're not going to find any answers for the community. And I really think that people just want the bottom line, and the bottom line is, what the heck is going on out there? And also, people go missing also.
Right, the high strangeness can be tested, and like you said, the trail cameras are on the blink, and all this stuff is happening. And why is Bigfoot avoiding the cameras? What if the areas? Now, this is just a hypothesis and whatever. What if the high strangeness areas have the high EMF, high RF readings there, and you're putting your trail cameras in those things? Kaboom!
Yeah,
there you go. Your trail camera malfunctions, and it's gone. It's not the Sasquatch that's doing it. It's the high EMF readings that is frying your trail cameras, because you're in why are the Sasquatch in these areas is what Chris has asked another question.
Yeah,
why are we attracted to these areas?
Yeah, and we were getting readings on the trifield meter. That's just like, it was like, is the phone capable of doing that? Probably the phone could be capable of doing that if it went into like a blast hunt. All right. So if you really understand how cell phones behave, they basically affiliate into a network, and they try to stay locked in, and they try to conserve power, and they stay affiliated in the network, and they transmit frequency, all right, to be able to communicate. Every now and then, as you move and roam around, the phone's going to blast itself into a trunk search. It's going to try to do a hunt, and then it's going to send out more powerful signals. And so in them instances, you're probably going to be picking that up on your trifield meter if you got it running, all right? But did you just hear a knock when the trifield meter just went crazy? Did you just have something get like thrown in on you? I mean, that's what was happening to us. So it was logical for us to be able to see a correlation that had to be explored more. And quite honest with you, we do not have enough equipment with us to be able to collect more data. We need spectrum analyzers as well, because I would like to know if we're getting something like a 1.6 gigahertz frequency.
Right.
I want to know. Yeah, I would like to know, but I need money for that, people. I need money.
And there's people in the past and that are still doing that have used these, some of these instruments. They're like like Sir Brian Bowden and Mr. Alfred Santariga. These guys were bringing Geiger counters with them long time ago, and explaining portal, this and that. Hey, I was never a believer in the portal thing until I watched Skinwalker Ranch, and they brought that rabbi on TV, and I still don't know if it's a portal or not, but when he was doing when they were testing that, a big spherical whatever anomaly came and started to open up right on television,
Yeah.
right in front of your eyes when this was going on. And this is at Skinwalker Ranch again. And it was just, I still don't know how to explain it. I mean,
Right. And they brought along an EMF detection tool. Right. That EMF detection tool was called infrared camera. Right. So they were looking at the infrared frequency, which is on the EMF spectrum.
Right.
The EMF spectrum, folks, I'm merely saying it. I'll say it over and over again. It is a key to unlocking the answers. The more, and you'll be able to keep progressing and keep progressing. The EMF spectrum and the tools you can use to understand what's going on around you. Stop calling it woo. Figure it out. The scientific method really needs to be simplified. All right. Observe it, measure it, figure it out.
Yep.
3 steps: observe it, measure it, figure it out, get to the bottom line.
And just think, if everybody keeps on doing this and everybody's, trying to at least look into this, who knows, in a couple of years we might be able to say, stay away from these areas. That's a very dangerous area. You don't want to enter here. Or even just as like a little pin on your jacket while you're out hiking that gives off our alarming RF reading, and it goes off, and that's a sign to turn around.
Okay.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Okay. So it's like Chris was saying earlier about the, I'm looking at comments, so I'm trying to keep track of comments. But Chris was saying earlier on the Skinwalker Ranch also, that the rabbi, he was saying his prayers, and there was a portal open up. I think a lot of people are scared of that word to even be affiliated with it in their work or whatever the case may be. Folks, the word, the portal, okay, it could really be nothing more than electromagnetism doing something, right? And you don't need to be scared of that word. You don't need to be scared to investigate into these things. I would think that you probably want to have some more equipment with you, but it really could be something as simple as the electronic magnetism doing something, and something is exerting a force upon it. So there's something else going on out here in the picture. And could this actually be what's going on when we say the word a portal opened up, or whatever the case may be? Try not to think back to your childhood days where you was looking at Sleestack, the land of the lost, and then the portal opened up because he was playing with the crystals. Try not to think of it like that. Look at it as there could be something going on in your area, and without the proper equipment with you, you're not going to be able to see what's going on in the EMF spectrum. All right. So before we go get ready to play another short video, this video will basically explain things more on a quantum level, because I think we have experienced quantum type things when it comes to the hitchhiker effect. And oh yeah, I'm not scared of that either. I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to address the hitchhiker effect as well. But if you think about it, what if when a portal opens up by whatever it is that's causing it, all right? Let's just say what if there's something else going on. And if a portal does open up, is it being caused by the glue of the universe being manipulated? So in this next video, we're going to see what's going on a quantum level. They're going to explain this more on a quantum level. So think about that in this context when you watch that video. Could, in fact, portals and the effects of what's going on with portals be something going on quantum, right? So if you want to play that video, Chris, you can.
Photons are the packets of energy detect to see the world around us. And in the bizarre world of quantum mechanics, photons are at the very heart of magnetism. Plunging down to the subatomic level, we can see how atoms are made up of a nucleus surrounded by a cloud of electrons.
Think about the structure of an atom. There's a positive charge to the nucleus, and then the electrons have a negative charge. These two attract each other.
To explain this attraction, quantum physicists think that both protons and electrons spit out short-lived bursts of photons. Oppositely charged particles absorb each other's light, and this draws the particles together. This attractive force is known as electromagnetism.
Atoms themselves would not hold together if it weren't for electromagnetic forces.
Electromagnetism also causes atoms to stick together, to create the molecules that form us and everything around us.
Electromagnetism is responsible for the very structure of our matter, atoms holding together.
Molecular bonds in our bodies, those are bound together by electromagnetic interactions, and therefore they're bound together by light.
A universe without electromagnetism would come apart at the seams.
If electromagnetism was turned off, matter would dissolve.
Everything would just fall apart.
I could probably, with my superhuman strength, hold myself together, but the rest of you are doomed.
Electromagnetism not only holds everything together, it makes things feel solid.
When you touch something, that's the electromagnetic force as well. We have electrons in our atoms and they repel each other, and when you try to touch something, those forces keep you from actually physically touching it.
The reason I don't fall through the floor is not that the floor is particularly solid. Most of the floor is empty space. It's the electric forces of the atoms in the floor against the electric forces of the atoms in my body that hold me up. Just those little forces of those few atoms are enough to hold me up against the entire gravitational force of the Earth. Electromagnetism rules.
Yeah. So one thing I want to caveat on is you saw the illustration where they started showing how, they said, what if, electromagnetism falls apart? Right. And so they were also saying on a quantum level, they theorized that it is all based upon what the photons are doing, interacting with electrons. If man has figured out a way to put man on the moon and build satellites and send satellites billions and billions of miles away, and man has learned how to manipulate the electronic magnetic frequency spectrum with tons and tons and tons of equipment, what if man has figured out a way to manipulate the photons, and they have found ways to generate portals? Could portals actually be a root basis when electromagnetism is manipulated? And so let us go back to Skinwalker Ranch. If you guys had seen the last clip, the last show, I believe the show before last, where they had the astronomers that were looking up through the sky, and there was crazy, bizarre stuff going on with whatever it was interfering with their standalone, telescopes. So I just want everybody to think on that for, just for a moment. What if there's other things at play here? I really think with the U.S. government has, come out with the UAP stuff, the UFO stuff. They're finally starting to show you what the U.S. military has been encountering for quite some time, and they're finally getting to it and basically saying to you that, yep, there's unknown objects flying around out there, and yep, we're just having a difficult time trying to tell you how it's all about. But hey, we're going to hide under a rock for the time being and hope that there's nothing on those aircraft. Or they're thinking that maybe they could just be drones. See what I'm saying? So hold that thought about portals. Does anybody have any questions on my hunch about this potentially might be a factor that's going on here?
I have a question. Do you think orbs are a result of quantum?
I do not know because I have not personally encountered that I can recall, all right, that I can recall personally seeing an orb. I've seen videos of them when I was in the Pacific Northwest. Uh, Humongous. I mean, they were like beach ball size, interacting with people. I honestly do not know that answer. I do think that the orbs do emit light. That's EMF. Um, there was probably some kind of frequency stuff going on also, but no one's got any tools. No one's bringing the tools out there to discern this. They're just basically saying there's orbs. They're how wonderful, how beautiful, you know, but they're not bringing more instruments along. I don't know. Maybe people just don't want to go any further, but I'm not like that. I want to try to find what's going on, you know? I want to try to find what's going on. So, yeah, possibly, yeah.
Yeah, yet again, another phenomenon
Yeah,
that happens in the high strangeness areas. Again,
yeah. So what do you do when someone tells you the story about how they saw a blue orb that was interacting with them coming into their camp, staying at the verge of their camp? They decide they're not scared. They decide they want to pursue the orb and try to engage it, get closer. And then the orb, right, starts to pull back. And this is a case that I want to say it's in Johnny's group. I was reading this from a lady in Johnny's group. Johnny, if you're on here, you know. And she said she was with a group of people. I'm not going to use any names, but she was with the group of people. They followed the orb, and then one of the guys went there and pursued it further, and he's swerving down. He saw a Sasquatch that was doing this. They're traditional in the back, but the orb went into the direction of the Sasquatch and disappeared. If I got it right, that's what happened. So what happened, people? Is there a correlation? You know, the people in the Pacific Northwest will laugh at me and say, of course there's a correlation. You know?
well,
That happened. That happened to this group of people, and they were very scared.
right. That showed intelligence, though. It came, it backed off when it approached it, and and then went to home.
Yeah. Some people theorize that the orbs are basically a means for them to be able to remote view. Now, some people theorize that as well, because they come up with these theories and these hunches based upon the evidence that they see. You know, did this orb thing actually come in and engage your campsite? And this is create a scenario. Did it actually come in and engage your campsite and then go back to whoever was controlling it? You know, is that flesh and blood? I mean, it's merely, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
And they're all found in the same areas. All different phenomena, because the orbs, in my book, is its own phenomenon. Sasquatch is its own phenomenon. Alien, go right down the line. I have no proof of anything yet, or nobody really has proof of anything that goes together. It doesn't.
I haven't had the orb encounters yet. I can only go with what I've seen on videos and what people have explained to me. But what seems to be how people explain their story, there seems to be some type of a connection between the two. Is it 100% all the time? I don't know. If it's 100% all the time, I don't know. Some people would probably better answer that one as well.
Well, I'm starting to think with the data that we've been collecting that it has to do with the area, not the individual phenomena.
What do I think of my New Mexico edition? I'm not going to address the New Mexico expedition. Okay. All right. So any more questions before we move on? We're going to move on to something kind of very interesting and that has happened with radio frequency at the Skinwalker Ranch. But before we get into the blue and yellow the yellow audio wave, so we need to give them a little bit of background. But I think that clip is like 4 minutes long. But anyway, it gives you the basis of what we're fixing to get into here shortly on what was detected at Skinwalker Ranch.
Before we move forward, I just got one question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What made you put one and one together and start operating the meters, you know, I know you were watching the show, but what was the part of the show that finally hit you and said, or was it the things that were happening to you in the forest that was a combination of both?
Well, I knew it was repeatedly happened to Mark and myself and Betty. It happened repeatedly to us for a few years. And all we could just do is just stand there and say, "Oh, gee, you know, it's happening again." And we'd laugh and chuckle and, you know, and phones would be dialing other people and things like that. And so what made me come across it was when I was watching the Skinwalker Ranch show. I actually saw Travis with a measuring device in his hand. And that's when I said, their phones are going nuts. I know that feeling. I'm going to get me one of these measuring devices because I'm tired of going out there in the field, and I'm going to start seeing if I'm getting readings going berserk and crazy like what they were showing as well. And we did. We got actually readings like microwave oven high.
Right.
And I mean, and not just clips, you know, not just clips. I mean, like prolonged maximum amounts. And then drop back down.
Yeah. Day one.
Yeah. So this is where the idea sort of came from, because I was in, my Army experience. I didn't have measuring tools with me to measure the amount of radio frequency energy. I didn't have those types of tools that I was privy to, so I didn't know. So that's how I found out about it.
Yeah, it's strange because none of that stuff ever happened to me until I visited the Florida swamp, and then I came home and it started happening here.
Yeah, Ron's got a question. Did you see that EMF? Is the EMF happening exactly in the same spots, or does it move around? I'm kind of spoiled. When Chris was with me, we went to 2 separate locations, and they're separated by 3 miles. We were encountering the bizarre behavior in one spot, and 3 miles away we were getting even more crazier behavior on the phones and high readings as well. So yes, phones did accompany us. All right, I'm gonna make that perfectly clear. Full disclosure: phones were on our person. All right, but my phone normally don't go surfing through applications when it's on. It was doing that out there when the meter was going off the chain. So it was clearly like something was interacting and manipulating the phone. How was it getting it off screen lock? I don't know. And then Chris gets this crazy message, you know. By the way, I still have it written on my board right here.
Yep.
I haven't erased it. The BBB, MMMCs, and
yeah. I have no explanation for that. The other stuff can be tested. The message is intelligent and something.
Okay. Hey, look at this question. Some orb encounters have produced radiation type burns in people. All right.
Yep.
Well, folks, that sounds an awful lot like ionizing radiation.
Yeah. Radio
right?
frequency. Yeah.
Radio frequency. It's basically, if you take that EMF spectrum and cut it in half, all right, you got non-ionizing on the lower side, and you got ionizing on the other side. The ionizing is your X-rays, your gamma rays, and your cosmic rays and things like that. That's your ionizing radiation, which goes in and does damage to your cells.
Yeah. People get
yeah.
people, you know, I lost vision in my eye. I can't say it's because of that, but you go hiking in the woods, you come out and your eye detached. How does that happen without an injury? People get cancers. I mean, there's so many cases of there's too many reports, too many aspects of this radio frequency, the EMF spectrum of it has to be part of all of this. There's a reason for it, and it's
yeah. Well, the video says it's part of the universe. It's a fundamental of the universe. It's all around us. What we're trying to point out is something manipulating it and directing it? You know, is there something going on? So what's it got anything to do with Bigfoot? I don't know. You tell me. You find Bigfoot prints in these areas, just like I have. Why are they going to these areas? Good hunting? Is it a good hunting ground? I don't know. We need more data.
Right. More people with meters, and hopefully more people that can afford the other meters.
Yeah, the Earth, Ron, the Earth, as we know, we saw in the illustration, the magnetic fields of the Earth are generated a lot of, the scientists feel that it's magma underneath it. But a lot of times that magma is thousands of miles underground, except near volcanoes.
Yeah.
And what do we hear that is often frequently reported around volcano mountains?
Godzilla.
Yeah. UFO activity. Yeah. Oh, and Sasquatch activity also is in these areas. I'm just merely pointing it out.
Yep.
Don't hide under a rock. Just face it. Okay. So let's have you tried to find the source of the EMF? Well, you can kind of direction find a little bit with this. But we were out there when we first encountered it. It was very astonishing to us, and you're not always thinking straight. You're not always thinking straight. So as you move around, yeah, you can kind of do that, but it really needs to be contained in a dish of some sort to where it can be focalized to be able to kind of direction find a source. On Skinwalker Ranch, they show in their presentation that they use an antenna to direction find the source of it, and they keep having the source above the ranch, is what they're saying.
I got another good question right here. Do you believe something is using the RF as a tool instead of just communication?
Yep. I think it's used for both. I think there is something that is using it for both. That something could be man-made. That something could not be man-made. All right. What has the Department of Defense just told us? That there's stuff out there in our skies that they can't figure out, and they don't have the equipment to figure it out.
Yeah. They say poo, man. They say they didn't make another branch of the military for the outer space for no reason.
Yeah.
Tax write-off. There's something going on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's move forward because we can get stuck here, and then we'll be here for half, and then
there's more interesting things coming, so stick around. I'm trying not to be long-winded. I'm trying to keep it flowing a little bit and trying to take questions, but yeah, let's get into the Skinwalker video. They're going to basically show you something, and then can you stop it on the fly?
Yeah, you just tell me to raise your hand.
Well, let's just kick it off, and we're going to see what Travis talks about. Okay. So
I just want to thank everybody too that's in the chat for being adults and not flying off the handle with all this stuff tonight, and actually trying to learn things. And I really appreciate that, because it could have turned bad. And I just want to give you guys all a big applause and thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, let's move forward. Here we go.
I don't see nothing. While Caleb's getting
again here.
Caleb, you got it?
Well, yeah, to land it right in a tree.
I'm looking for any UAPs.
I don't see nothing. While Caleb's getting that, I'm gonna go over here and check the instruments and stuff. He may need some help, I don't know. Caleb, you need help?
I got it.
I can't figure out why the chute didn't open, though. Eric, are you doing something at 1.6?
I'm not broadcasting. What are you seeing?
The signal? 1.60000. When the chute failed to open and the rocket crashed down near the homestead, I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but then right on cue, Eric's spectrum analyzer registered that freaky 1.6 gigahertz energy level that has coincided with almost every phenomena we've witnessed out here.
Do you want me sweeping around and see?
Yeah, I do. Something was starting to happen. Ho, right there. The one signal went away. Go back the other way. Wait, it's coming back. Oh, right there, stop.
So it's very directional?
Yes.
That's southwest.
That's right where the rocket just went.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Thomas's thought to turn the antenna connected to the spectrum analyzer was brilliant, because it clearly showed us that the 1.6 gigahertz signal was coming from the same direction in the sky that the rocket had just flown through. The question was, what the hell was it?
Let me go up and down with it.
Whoa, stop. Suddenly two signals right when you did that.
So we've got 3 peaks. and that means nothing to me.
Well, it doesn't mean a lot to us, except usually if it's a communication signal, you'll see one big one in the middle and two smaller ones on the sides.
At equal distances.
And that's kind of what we're seeing, but this one's coming and going, which is odd. Want to try and listen to it?
Yeah.
It's chirping in frequency. That's a communication signal or something. That's
So all of that disappears when we go off?
yes. I mean, it's got to be right there, and I mean, it's a very small cone.
That's interesting.
And so if it were a deep sky object, in 15 minutes it'd be gone because of the rotation of the Earth. From my experience as a rocket scientist, this sound frequency was like the kind of communication signal you would get from a satellite orbiting the Earth or even farther out in space. Listen at that. But the signal was coming from the area above the ranch where we shot the rocket, and it was pointed directly at Homestead 2. So what would be broadcasting a communication signal like that? And where could it be coming from?
Okay, so you say it's pointed to where we just shot the rocket. So what, that's our message and this is the message coming back? I mean, I know that's a stretch, but after everything that's gone down today, I have no clue.
That's not a, I don't know. I swear that sounds like a communication signal. It stopped.
I'm just trying to read some of the comments that were coming along. All right. Okay. So what I saw was I did a little bit more further work on that. And if you was listening to what Travis was saying, he was basically saying it's chirping. It's a communication signal. All right. So I took that and I looked at that and I just didn't keep it as it was. I went ahead and did a download of it and copied it. And I found a small portion of the signal that was not having the music and not having the people step all over it. I was trying to find a small clip. I found 2 clips that I could actually cut and use, and I amplified it some more, and we're going to play that, and we're going to show you. They were showing you on a spectrometer what was going on, but we're going to show you in these clips what's inside the wave. And so what you will be hearing is part of what Travis pointed out, and you'll be hearing it in a loop. It'll like loop, 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 play over and over and over again. It will be the first, and the second one's a little bit more higher on amplification. All right, so we're going to let that play, and also I want to say the 1977 one is in there as well. So if you want to stop it before we get to the 1977 one, or do you think we need to play them both at the same time?
But before we go further, explain to everybody how this works, how the intelligence works, and what they're seeing.
Well, what man does is how basically, in a nutshell, how man basically uses radio waves to be able to use it for a utility purpose. Is they insert and place intelligence upon the carrier wave. So in the video you was seeing 1.6 gigahertz. That's basically the basic carrier wave frequency. When you add intelligence to it, whether it's a digital type of intelligence, where it's analog, whatever the case, if I were just to speak, it would be analog being added to that wave. So it wouldn't just exactly be 1.6, it would deviate. So if they push tones, okay, and if they push phases and things like this upon the carrier wave will increase and decrease just subtly a little bit based upon what intelligence is being placed upon it. But, okay, you should be able to hear that, so long as it's not encrypted, of course. You should be able to hear that. And I knew that, and so I made a clip of it to see if I could see if there was anything discernible in these waves. So my curiosity was, well, is in fact this is a communication signal? That's
Chris,
what I was looking at.
We got knocked off for showing.
Yeah, there was comments about that. So about copyright and this and that and the other thing. So
I don't charge from my videos. We shouldn't have any problems with playing anything.
Okay, so did anything get cut off or what? I still see chat going on.
Yeah.
You were blacked out showing, okay, the Skinwalker clip. Okay, so they did not. Okay, so y'all did not see the Skinwalker clip. Is that what it was?
I don't know. Let me go to YouTube. I'm not monetized, so it shouldn't mean any. It shouldn't do anything.
Yeah, normally when I make a Skinwalker clip, normally I just get told that you're okay, you're not doing a copyright thing. But what they do is they normally send the money to other people, not to me. So did y'all even see the video at all? I'm thinking maybe you're saying blacked out. People, not to me. So did y'all even see the video at all? I'm thinking maybe you're
No, it's still playing on YouTube.
not to me. Okay. So did y'all even see the video at all? I'm thinking maybe. Okay. Diane was saying Diane was saying they cut it out. Okay, so their filtering software, as soon as they saw the matching, they went ahead and stopped the feed. But it didn't stop the show. They just couldn't see what was going on. So I don't even know if they was even be able. I don't even know if you was even be able to hear that. But basically, you would have to go watch the Skinwalker Ranch clip when they discover the part. I want to say it was the one before the one tonight that's fixed to start at 9 o'clock.
Well,
but anyway, they discover the wave. They see that they think it's a communication thing.
Right. They got a communication back.
Okay. All right. So what I did was when Travis said, "Hey, it's chirping. It looks like a communication signal. It sounds like a communication signal." All right. So I made a cut of that. This won't be. I'm hoping that this ain't going to get blocked either. But
No, it's not the TV show.
all right. But so what you're seeing on this wave, like I said, as man inserts intelligence upon the carrier wave in radios and in radio communications, and you can hear things, you should be able to see things in the signal, in the wave. All right. You know, like you guys are all Bigfooters, right? When you take your audio recorders, you're able to see it on the spectrum graph, and that's what we're fixing to do. All right. So ready to play when you are. And you'll hear it in a loop back, okay? Okay.
All right.
All right. So was there a bigger component to that? I have a blown up component to that. I don't know if I had that part uploaded to you or not, because that's awfully tiny. You want to be able to show them. Let me see.
No, I don't have those.
Let me just bear with me, people. Let me see if I got the. Okay. Okay, that's that clip, Chris. You should be able to play more than that. You should be able to go right on into. Yeah, did that not continue on and continue playing? Did that not continue on? 15 August 1977? Okay. Did you see the bigger one?
You're moving it on me. Stop moving.
Okay, I'll move it. Let's see. Okay, there it is. Stop. Pause. Okay, that's why I want to make sure that was part of the clip. All right. Do you notice something in this people or in this clip, people, and you're able to see what's going on? The vertical lines going on are just basically the little 1 second clip. All right. And they're just copied and pasted and copied and pasted and put into a perpetual loop. There's 2 separate 1 second cuts from that signal that Travis was referencing in the video. You see those does everyone see the bright gold lines down at the bottom, and how the bright gold lines stay with it? And there's multitudes of them going on in here. All right. that looks awfully a lot like how digital communications kind of functions and kind of works, and kind of how it embeds itself in the carrier wave to where you can hear it and discern things. So it does look like there's multiple frequencies going on in here, and you can hear them. And also it goes up to what, 1800, 18,000, right? Down there, all the way up to 18,000 hertz, somewhere around there when you look at this stuff.
Yeah.
And the horizontal portions go all the way across. And they're taken from two separate parts in the video. But yet you see the one at the bottom going all the way across. So they stay the same, even though they sound differently. The intelligence looks the same in the wave. All right, so so before we go on, I'm gonna make another comparison. But before we go on, is there any questions on this part right here? Did I explain myself clearly enough? Is there any more clarification do you think we need?
Nothing.
Okay, I'm not seeing anything. All right, so hopefully that wasn't too boring, people. The purpose of it was to be able to show you that, yes, it seems like there is some type of intelligence in the signal that's going on here. All right, so the next wave signal, what I did was I went ahead and went back to 1977. Back in 1977, we had the SETI, there's people that were working with in and around the SETI project, and they were around the university. I believe the school was the University of Ohio. I'm not an Ohio fan. I don't know if it was University of or Ohio State, or I can't remember which one it was, but they were the ones that had found a source that was coming from deep space. And they basically had, a big simplistic kind of sort of antenna they had created and fabricated and put together enough instruments to be able to help them detect signals from deep space. All right. So this next cut you're fixing to see is called the WOW wave. And the WOW wave was discovered back in 1977. I believe it was on 15 August. So you'll see it in the next video. The point I'm making is that this wave was from deep space. They still don't know what it is to this day. They speculate what it is, but you will see some similarities with this. So go ahead and play. Okay, and that's the up close of what that particular wave looks like. All right, and the things that I find that is interesting that all point out is the same type of horizontal lines are displayed. They're only weaker, it seems like. They're not as intensely colored, but they seem to be more lighter, which means they're not as strong as the other ones were. But I want to point out, if you look how high they go to, we're seeing also stuff that goes up to 18,000 as well on that one. Now I know everybody knows the human range is like 20 to 20,000, stuff like that. That's probably the reason why that might be similar. But I just thought it was very interesting to see that there was the horizontal lines in this one as well.
Do you think it's just the difference in equipment from 77 to now, the difference in the registering, or is it has to do with the deep space galaxies compared to closer to Earth.
I think it was probably related more to the strength of the signal received, the proximity of the source. Deep space was obviously further away. They narrowed it down to where they thought it was in the galaxy as well. And on Skinwalker Ranch, it's probably much closer. So I think Travis might be onto something, that there could potentially be. The speculation is maybe there could be some man-made stuff. I know he's probably thinking that, but he needs to try to crack it and get a little more data on that. So, but likewise, maybe not. This could be coming from another source, man. It just, what if it's here we go back to another what if? What if it's not man-made?
Right. Well, the one from 77, if coming from deep space, how could it be man-made?
And don't forget, people, there's been a lot of crypto-type creatures been reported being seen on Skinwalker Ranch, to include Bigfoots.
Again, the biggest question is why? Why are they attracted to these areas?
Mm-hmm.
And they're not walking around with magic wands, or there's no known animals that give off RF, because it would have to. That's very high energy. So, to man, I guess not yet, but
yeah,
is it possible? Could it be done? I mean, who knows?
Yeah, and so we're an hour into it, and I won't take too much more longer. So we're going to get into another thing. Is there any questions on the frequencies that we heard from Skinwalker Ranch, or the WOW signal from deep space? Anything at all? Before we go, the next subject we're going to get into is what's going on in the human brain, what's going on with electromagnetic frequencies with the human brain, which could possibly support what we've always been told, mind speak. Could EMF be what's really going on there?
Right. And another thing, infrasound.
And infrasound. We're going to touch on infrasound as well.
We learned some new stuff from we have a gentleman that reached out to us, and he does satellite communications for 30 years, just like Chris has been in communications for 30 years. And I get involved in the conversation, and I'm like, all right, guys.
It's a very difficult, it's a very difficult subject, and it's a subject that you really got to stay on top of to know all the terms. So as I transitioned more and more away from radios, and as I retired and got more into computers, the computer work is what pays the bills now. So yeah, I don't play around with the radios as much as I used to. But I still remember a lot of that, and the radio wave propagation and all the rest of it that came along with it. So we're going to touch briefly here on what we think that could be a supporting thing, like I said earlier, with the mind speak. All right. So before you start looking at this chart briefly, I want you to pay attention to the very bottom where it says radio waves and brain waves are both forms of electromagnetic radiation. Waves of energy that travel at the speed of light. All right, so let's not forget that. The electromagnetism, the waves propagate at the speed of light. Okay? But if you look at that, they've done a lot of work with the human mind as well. And they're basically saying that, hey, the human brain functions based upon, how it communicates, interacts, and is based upon a lot upon frequencies and the different waves that these frequencies are at, and what your brain state is at. Are you very relaxed? Are you sleeping? Are you concentrating? So as you are out there Bigfooting, yeah, there's going to be times to where you're going to be sleeping because you're going to be staying in your areas. There's going to be times where you're being passive. There's going to be times that you're going to be stressed. All right. All kinds of things that's going on in your brain. All right. So if you look at the very top of it, they're basically saying that the brain wave are oscillating electrical voltages. All right. So as we learned in 101, electrical voltages, electrical currents that move produce a magnetic, bandwidth as well, that they go perpendicular to each other. All right. So if you want to take that slide down. So if you look at sleep, 0.5 to 4 hertz. 0.5 to 4 hertz. If man has found a way to place intelligence upon EMF, the radio signal, could he not, or, I'm just saying the word man, and I don't mean it to be male or a female thing. I'm just saying, could they not also devise some means to be able to interact with your brain waves, as in a transmitter type receiver? And is in fact this what could possibly be going on in Bigfooting areas when you get told about these things, you're like, oh, that's woo or whatever, but I'm merely saying, stop saying the woo and stop making fun of it and scientifically try to find out what's going on. You observe it, you try to find a way to measure it, then you try to find a way to figure it out. Okay. So when I was I'll briefly talk about New Mexico. When I was in New Mexico, I had something happen at 2:37 in the middle of the night. I felt like I was being drugged through the tent, is what happened. Chris said he thought it was a dream because he heard me mumbling and trying to fight it or whatever. You could hear me, and in fact, maybe it was a dream. All right, my brain was functioning in sleep state. I'm sure there's frequencies in my brain going on, but I also told in the video that I had went out there and I relieved myself, but I had meditated briefly, and I had asked for an encounter, but for the encounter to be safe at a safe distance. That's basically what I was meditating on. And then look what happened to me in my dream. So was it subconsciously done or was it consciously done? And did I dream that because I was out there doing this stuff? None of the guys knew that when I went out there and did that. No one knew that. And look what happened to me that night, And then my kind of freakish forgetfulness of the tent stakes, And Ron knows Ron says that got him up. Yeah, I was screaming like a dog, man. I was like, get off me, get off. I was like, it's just hollering, and I was like, I'd be daggone if I'm going to stay in this tent, man. And then, then the two knocks. And then let's talk about this, okay? Previously, let's analyze this. Previously, earlier in the day, I asked for an encounter mentally. I asked for an encounter mentally with boundaries. That night, in dream state, something happens to me. I feel like I'm getting pulled through the tent, not out the door, but through the tent by my feet, my left foot specifically. And then we hear two knocks. I remember that. Bam, bam. And the Indy's going to bark right now. But wham, wham. Okay? So let's analyze that. If you analyze this, it has basically three components. I'm asking, I'm sleeping, and we had physical. The knocks. The thing in the matter is it just to be all discarded? I don't know, Chris. What do you think? Is it just to be all discarded as a dream? Because the very next day, I didn't even remember that I had pulled the stakes out of the tent. And had them back inside my bag. I had no memory of that.
Well, you number one, you had to use the stakes because the wind was howling. There's no way you would have just put your
and there was mud on them. So everyone that was on that mountain knew that the soil composition was moist enough from the snow, so it did have like a rich black composite soil. And I remember seeing that on the stakes, but the stakes were in the stake bag inside another bag, and that's where they were. I have no memory of taking the stakes out.
And even part is he got home, everybody, and his dog went for his suitcase, and the dog searched in the suitcase and pulled out one sock. the sock that he was wearing that night.
Yeah, and I forgot to tell everybody. Yes, I forgot to tell everybody. Let's not forget what my brother told me. Remember what my brother said?
I don't remember.
A potential hitchhiker.
Oh, yep.
What happened? No one knows about this, so we're going to talk about this very briefly. My brother is almost in a panic after he comes over to my house. This is not too long after I come back from New Mexico. He comes to our house. We have a little barbecue outing, and like I want to say, like the very next day, he calls up and he's like very panicky. My brother hardly ever calls me. He is swearing up and down he is seeing something inside his vehicle. And he's trying to film it and photograph it in the whole 9 yards. And he said, how in the world is this happening to me? And I said, well, I came back from New Mexico. I had some stuff happen to me. You probably got it when you came to my house. You got a hitchhiker, possibly. And he was swearing up and down that this thing was like cloaked looking, had like a shroud on it. It was kind of a blackish, whitish. It was sitting in his vehicle in the passenger side in the console and was moving its head around after he had got done driving it, and that's when he saw it. People, I'm here to tell you, man, the hitchhiker effect, it is 100% real. It is 100% real, man.
I'm here. The babies see them. My grandchildren see them. So yeah, I can definitely agree with that. So what we're experiencing in the wood, the frequency in the wood, our new friend did research on the meters and did some research because he's fascinated with what's going on too. The guy that does it, I'm not sure if I can say his name, so I won't. But he said the readings that we were getting, 15 and above, if true, this happens all the time, then we can knock infrasound out of the way because that's RF that's affecting our bellies and are making you sweat and making you overheat, time loss, all that stuff. If the meters that we have, these ones here, if you get 15 and above on these, hands down, whatever you're going through body, mentally, physically, is due to the RF that's in that area.
Yeah. And I pulled something up. I'm going to show people something briefly based upon a question that I saw. So I'm going to address the one question. So, yeah. So, I forgot because I was on my phone pulling it up. But I mean, let me just show this and get this out of the way, okay? All right. I get asked all the time. All right, that's I want to say it's clear. That's a picture of Mark that was taken in December. All right, so all right, everybody see him well. He looks like he's doing well, okay? And hopefully I got that right. Okay, there, that's probably better, yeah. All right, so yeah, that was actually I think that was taken in October, and he gave it to me on Christmas. So it looks like he's doing well. Mark has moved away and he's living in St. Pete area. He retired. We don't work together anymore, and so that's a little bit about Mark. So I was wanting to answer the question that I saw and get that out. So I know it's not anything to do related to what we're talking about, but there was something, Chris. Can you get rid of the hitchhikers? I'll be honest with you. I think you can only slow it down. And I don't think I don't think they stop. And we've tried all kinds of things also, and it seems to only stop things periodically. I don't know, man. It's a side effect of being in these high strangeness areas.
Again, it's the same thing that comes up again. It's the area. Why are these things in the areas of the high strangeness? We got to get answers. We got to get more. We got to get more meters out in the woods. People got to get behind this. I mean, the info that goes behind it. Just a simple little meter is incredible. and the stuff that we can learn from just 12 people out there, 12 new people that got these out in the woods, and they're getting readings. And we just came up with another thing the other night that we're keeping under our hat for a little while, but there's another thing that's common in these areas that might be a key too. So that's a lot of, I'm fascinated by it, the communication part of it and the RF. I've experienced it here and I've experienced it in Florida, and both instances are just, they're in our areas. I mean, are we attracted to these areas? Were you drawn to the green swamp in that area, Chris? Were you drawn to that spot, or did you just find it by accident?
I literally found that area that I took you to based upon my knowledge from my Army days and studying topography maps, and studied the maps, and then I went there on foot. Those two areas that I took you to, I found on my own. No one took me there. That's interesting, huh? No one took me there. I went there on my own.
Right.
And yeah. So let's not forget infrasound, Chris. Real briefly. That was the one thing that when I was pulling up picture of our infrasound. Briefly, what I wanted to talk about on infrasound, we hear that very common in the Bigfooting community. Oh, it's infrasound. Okay. So infrasound is basically a sound wave. All right. It's exhibited by a low frequency, 100 hertz and below. All right. So it's at a frequency to where the body can kind of feel it. Your brain reacts to it if you're hit with infrasound, and it creates physiological things that go on in your mind and in your head and in your body. Your body can react to it. Most of the time, it's reported that it can induce fear inside the head. And so when your brain starts doing these things, we already saw there's electromagnetism going on in the brain and how it functions. And certain conditions in your body produce certain, or baseline certain frequencies. But it is a sound wave. Infrasound is a sound wave. It is not an EMF wave. Sound waves require a medium, meaning an atmosphere of molecules. The water, steel, they require some kind of medium because they are a pressure wave. So as the wave radiates, it requires, like I said, this medium. Electromagnetic spectrum things, light, radio frequency, requires no medium at all. They can go in a vacuum, and they go at the speed of light. Infrasound does not travel at the speed of light. There are two different things, people. So a lot of people attribute infrasound to Bigfooting. Is it possible? I'm not saying that it's not. I'm not saying that it's not possible at all. I'm just merely saying that the two are different, and the two are going to produce different effects on your body, I would think.
Right. But you'd have to hear it. They can't just throw that at you, infrasound, with nothing behind it. They can't just throw it silent.
Yeah, it's supposedly, by definition, it was supposed to be below 100 hertz, 80 hertz, something like that, infrasound. But it's different people, I think, can hear lower frequencies. I don't know. It just depends. We're all not exactly the same on our hearing abilities. But I just want to put out people. A lot of people say, "Oh, I felt it in my chest," or whatever. Yeah, maybe infrasound. I don't know. Maybe not.
Right. If you had a meter running and it was registering over the 15 level and you felt it, you know exactly what it was.
Yep.
Because I can say when it hit us, when Chris asked for the knock in the swamp, in the green swamp, I was out of it for I don't even know how long. I was just in space.
Yeah, you was kind of drifting on some cognitive stuff there, because I said something to you and I didn't, so I turned around and looked at you, and that's when you were just standing there standing there with your mouth wide open, man. It was kind of a little funny, but
and the meter was registering. It was bottoming them out. So what was the cause of me? Put one and one together. In my opinion, radio frequency was knocking me.
Yeah, this device told us that we were under electromagnetic waves. That's what this device was telling us. What was the source? I don't No. Only thing I can tell you is that we had traditional activity going on at the same time.
Right.
This is the key.
Rock throws, knocks.
Yeah, we had traditionally accepted activity going on at a time. Now, unless you don't accept knocks as traditional accepted activity, then that's fine. Some people say paranormal entities can do knocks as well. Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. But I did call out for it, and whatever it was, understood.
Yep.
Whatever it was, understood what I asked for.
It's intelligent.
Yeah.
So whatever, it's just, if you put one and one together and you can look up all the facts, and you can everything that most people experience in the woods when they're out looking for Sasquatch can be related to radio frequency. Overheating. A radio frequency can cause you to overheat. 411 is, what are people doing? Taking their clothes off. What if they had a meter on them when they're hiking that day and that meter went off crazy? They could have turned around.
Yeah, and there's water present, all kind of other these little clues. There's other things simultaneously going on. So is EMF and the manipulation possibly of EMF what's going on? We already saw brainwaves function on EMF waves. What if something has the ability to manipulate that or add an intelligence to that wave and direct it? Now we're saying, you could say, well, that's just totally conjecture and hocus pocus, Chris. Well, people get mind speak. People report it. And they get things spoken to them that their audio recorders don't pick up. So what is going on? Well, that's where everybody has to work together, and you need to get out. You need to get out, like I said earlier in the very beginning. You need to get out of camera and audio recorder. They're fine. It ain't going to be enough. It's not going to be enough to bring you answers. It will not be sufficient, and you will constantly go in circles.
Yeah, this has opened a lot of doors. Even if it just gets your brain thinking a little bit differently, how you're going to set up your trail camera, and what area you're going to set your trail camera up, and what you're going to use to hang your trail camera up, or even if you decide not to use your trail camera anymore or whatever, it's getting you to think in a different direction to move forward. We need to move forward with something, and that's something that can be tested in all these areas. We've already tested everything, and not tested everything, but we tested in our areas, and we're getting the same results 1,000 miles apart. So going on. Something's going on.
So if you want to take a few more questions, I guess we can, take a few questions and wrap it up if you want. And yeah, we think alike. Our brain is thinking like that was exactly the same one that I was reading. Have considered using hats.
About that the other day too, getting one of the suits. They make suits, Cognac.
Yeah. They make suits and they're called Hex. I don't know how well they heck. And some of the videos that they show in Hex, it's like basically putting a Faraday cage in a suit and attaching it to your body to suppress the electromagnetism of your body. So I don't own one. I don't have one, but I would not discourage it. And I think it could have some benefit. Yeah.
Yeah. They're expensive. Again, everything's expensive with this, the route that we're going, but we'll just keep on doing what we can do. That's all we can do.
But let me share something with you very quickly. There was 4 or 5 guys in the state of Georgia years ago. They were military guys. They were Bigfooting, and apparently they knew a really hot area. They had on these electromagnetic type suits, and they were Hex. It went bad for them. Very bad for them. They were in a type of psychosis or something like that. Apparently, they encountered a Bigfoot and they lost big time bad. And they experienced foaming at the mouth. They couldn't move their muscles. They were all immobilized. Believe it or not, I was told this by someone who I would very well trust. And it went bad for these guys, and I don't know if they're even doing anything anymore, to be quite honest with you. But that was in Georgia.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What's that? Is that the one? Will a radio direction finder triangulate the RF, EMF waves, or any other device tell which way the waves are coming from?
Yeah, it can. Yes, you have to have antennas and equipment to do that. But a simplistic way of doing it would be able, like I said, to maybe take a simplistic device like this and maybe encapsulate it inside of a parabolic dish. The same way the parabolics work, it could probably help you identify a direction. But you would have to be quick when it's happening, because the phenomena doesn't happen all day long.
Right.
You know, it's going to come when you least expect it.
And they have to be within what we gathered rock throwing distance through the foliage.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to be within, I don't know, 30 feet, 40 feet of you, I would guess. When that thing took off from you, you were only 30 feet from us. So.
Oh yeah, that thing behind me was just 10 or 10 like 10 to 15 feet away from me, man. That was unnerving.
And myself heard a knock, and Chris was right next to the thing, and he didn't hear no knock.
I heard no knock, no knock at all. What I heard was something shifting its weight.
Right.
It literally sounded like something was behind me, kind of catty corner, and just like shifted its body weight. That's all I heard. And it was like, I just turned around like, what?
Right.
I didn't hear no knock at all, but they heard a knock, and they were like, did you hear a knock? I was like, oh, I didn't hear anything. So I was like, I'm out of here. I'm pulling back, because we, at that point, really couldn't see each other very well. That's a no-no. Try not to do that.
Right. Here's
always stay within sight of one another. I am an empathic. Empath.
When the ram is around, I can sense things. You know, when your hair stands up on the back of your neck, then you know to watch your back. Well, it's probably radio frequency that's hitting you, and you're highly sensitive to it.
Yeah, and you're more in touch with certain things of your body, to be able, your body's senses, and maybe some senses that other people, don't really use so much. Maybe it's hereditary, or maybe something along the lines, your DNA. I don't know. But you have some type of a sense that's a little bit stronger than most others. So you're able to detect things.
Yeah, so you don't need a meter.
I don't think that stuff is woo in the least bit. I think it can be explained by science completely.
Yeah, for sure. We got time for 2 more questions, and then we're gonna head on out. Here we go.
Oh, I want to answer this one.
This is the one, Chris. Have you ever?
I want to answer that one.
There sees Bigfoot researchers as a threat.
Based upon my personal experience, based upon it, I have long felt that there is something doing a bounding overwatch. There is something else to the picture that overwatches what's going on. And we don't know. We have discussed it in our inner circles of what is the thing that's over, what is it that is watching or steering or guiding, because we can find footprints, we can hear physical movement, we can do slingshots, we can hear voices. We know there's stuff that's within 30 yards of us. We're not seeing it, but we can hear things. We're getting physical things. But you have this, like an overwatcher. It just, I can only explain it the way I kind of feel it, but it's my gut feeling. It's my gut feeling that there's something else in the picture that is helping them somehow stay elusive. There's got to be a reason why the bodies are not being drug in every day from, if it's a typical flesh and blood animal, why are the hunters not dragging in the bodies all the time? Like any other animal that can be hunted down. And I honestly think man can hunt down any animal pretty much on the face of the earth. I really do think man can pull that off at at will. But for some reason, these guys aren't being brought in. You know, and I've heard stories. I've heard the stories. You know, some were shot in the past. And then where's the body?
Right.
You know, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying, well, okay, then where's the body? But no body.
Yeah. I just had a report I was telling you the other night of a guy here in Connecticut, and he was turkey hunting, and he had one pop out behind a tree, and then it kept on looping. It was like your TV was stop. It would loop, come out of the tree, and then he'd go behind the tree, he'd come out. It was like repeating over and over and over and over and over again. The same situation.
That's odd.
Yeah, I've never heard of an encounter like that.
That's like being stuck in something, maybe?
Stuck? Yeah, like you're stuck between two areas. Like
like a perpetual loop, and you're stuck in a cycle of some sort.
Butterfly effect or something like that, right? Something like that.
That's weird. No, I haven't heard one like that.
I got a statement, and then I just want to touch on this. We've had them whoop and only heard it the next day on the recorder. I still can't explain that. Yeah, Barry Browning, we are one of those. That's one of our topics. We have like a little separate group going right now with like 5 of us. And that is one of the topics that is being brought up, the clicks and the knocks and everything that is.
Yeah, it goes in a multitude of ways. The audio recorders pick up things that you clearly don't remember hearing. The audio recorders will not pick up things that did happen with your ears. And you know, and all vice versa as well. And a lot of times the people will hear certain things in a group. Everybody in the group agrees, but when they check the recorders, nah.
Right.
You know,
well, look at what we caught in the swamp. Hey, it's Creus. We didn't hear. We didn't hear. But we picked it up.
I didn't hear that live with my ears, and sometimes I have caught it live with my ears. And the audio recorders did in fact pick it up. So I have encountered a lot of that before in the past.
What we interacted with in the Florida swamp when I was there was intelligent. It wasn't an everyday encounter. It just wasn't. They typed a message on my phone.
Oh, you mean this message that I wrote down that I still keep?
Yeah. Twice. I erased it the first time.
Oh man, that's crazy. People, I haven't even erased this. I still keep it.
Took a shower and then it came back on my phone. Brand new phone. Nobody has my number.
I must be psychotic, man. You know what I mean? If I keep this stuff right near me, you know, whatever I tell you.
So the point, everybody, is we wanted to do this show to get people to realize that we're not saying that Bigfoot is Captain Electric and he's zapping you with radio frequency. What we are saying is that we have a physical presence and we are getting alarming readings on our meters in these areas at the same time as something throwing stones at us, knocking at us, making sounds. And we're trying to put the two together and learn more by testing. Testing. We have not claimed once yet that Sasquatch does this.
So don't go around. Please do not go around and attribute that to me. I don't do stuff like that.
Right.
I try to lay it out. I try to remain scientific, and that's okay. That's just my method of doing it. Sometimes I do let my mind go deeper on subjects because I am trying to find a way to it. So I have to think a little deeper on things sometimes because I got to find a way, observe, find a way to measure it, figure it out.
All right. This is our last question for the evening, and then we'll get going. Where'd it go? Here we go. Chris, could the activity in the meter possibly another form of communication between themselves without giving away their locations?
Maybe. And once again, we don't know if it's actually them or not. Okay. Only thing we know is that we're experiencing it and encountering it. Yeah, it could be an internal communication going on with whatever it is, because it seems like there's always a they in the phenomena. You know, it seems like there's a they going on, or it could be directed towards you. We need more data to be more solid on an answer like that. So I need that radio spectrum analyzer is what I really need, man. I can nail it. Narrow it down, man. Oh, we're getting the 1.6 gig. Now, what if I come on here and tell everybody we're getting 1.6 gigs?
Well, Blue Eyed Northern is one of the ladies that has a meter and is bringing it out in the field and has experienced the strange with the other.
I think people are going to discover that if they go into areas that they know that their phones traditionally always do misbehave. Yeah, your phone's probably contributing to the EMF, but you really need to think about why the phone is misbehaving in the first place. So,
and if your batteries drain,
yeah,
really think about that, because that doesn't happen on its own.
Yeah, that's a physical state. How do you take a solid state thing, a battery, and it becomes physically drained? I can't think of no other way unless it's happening on a quantum level. There's something going on with the molecules.
And then charge it up 10 minutes later.
Remember the video said photons?
Yeah.
That they're thinking photons has something to do with how it works. That's kind of how solar panels work also. Is photons, and that's how your eyes work too. Photons.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris, for joining the show tonight. All right. I'm going to put you backstage, and then I'm going to say goodnight to everybody, and then talk to you then.
Okay. See you. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Gentlemen, Mr. Chris Connor. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Discover Sasquatch. Well, this was an important show for us to do. We wanted to get it out there, what we're trying to accomplish with the meters and what we are investigating. I will leave links in the bios to Amazon if you guys are interested in picking up a meter. We will be doing more research. If you guys want any information from any of us, Discover Sasquatch at gmail.com and thetrailtobigfoot at gmail.com. We can be reached. If you have any questions, there's no stupid questions when it comes to this. There's just too many factors for this not to be a thing. It's a thing. Is it the area that these are all attracted to? Are they brought to this area for some reason? Is it the energy levels? We don't know, but we're going to keep on testing. And again, thank you all for keeping it cool in the comment section tonight. And the store is almost ready. The new studio's coming. And hopefully after this video, I'm up over 3,000 subs. So that's a big accomplishment for me, because I wasn't there a couple years ago, but something happened and I lost a lot of subs due to something I don't want to talk about. But anyways, it happened, and now I'm almost back up there, and I'd like to continue to grow. And hopefully, in the future, I could monetize now, but there's no sense in doing it. Hopefully in the future, I can make a little bit of money and towards the equipment that's needed towards what we're after. So thanks for showing up, and you know the drill. As my friend Larry always says, get in the woods, people.